Okay, I missed explaining something here. Um, and it's right in the first part. When I say to master the crown is to understand one's inner spirit, body, and mind in unity with love, nature, life, and earth. Okay, what I'm finna explain is the in unity part with love, nature, life, and earth. Okay, what I mean by that is you take in what you see, and that is what eternalizes in you and what you put back out. So let's say there's this thing called the collective reality, right? And then there's this thing called the perceived reality. Okay, the collective reality is what everybody shares. That's, the view of the world, there are trees, grass is green, sky is blue. This is the collective reality, the shared reality. Now, the perceptive reality is, let's say we were neighbors and we're kids, right? You're out with your dad one day. He sees a certain shade of green and he calls that shade of green a certain thing. So now you believe that that's what that shade of green is called, right? So one day, me and you were kicking it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's blah 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 green," and you're like, "No, that's so and so green." Okay, your thought of that being that name of that green is your perceptive reality. That's what you think. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't agree necessarily with the overall reality, but that's just what you think because of your experiences. So basically, what I'm saying is individual experiences are what creates one's personal reality, and the personal reality that you have is what you contribute to the shared reality. All right. Now, I said all that to say this. When I say understanding your inner spirit, body, and mind in unity with love, nature, life, and earth, that's combining both of those. The common reality and your perceived reality. You combine both of those and you come up with a mutual understanding of both to balance your life out, to be at peace with whatever you might be thinking about. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what I mean by that. Let me see if I could think of an example or something that would help that. Okay, I thought about an example. Let's use the same example as with the fried foods. All right. Now, the shared reality of that is that too many fried foods is bad for you, all right? Now, your perceived reality of that is you thinking that you're eating too much fried foods. So you take the common reality, which is eating too much fried foods is bad, and then you take your perceptive reality, which is you're eating too much fried foods, and you combine that to come up with you need to, you know, eat better. That's an example of how the common reality and the shared reality comes together for you to, you know, create what needs to be done to better yourself. Okay, now I'm going to finish reading off of what I was reading off of. Upon taking actions for oneself, you learn self control. Learning self control, you must set rules for yourself. There are rules, these rules are based off of what you know about yourself. Knowledge of oneself leads to self reflection. The reflection is based off of what one has observed through life and is known to be the truth to that person. Imperfections in oneself become clear through doing this. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there and go over what I mean. So let's see. The first part, upon taking actions for oneself, you learn self control. All right. Now, I already explained clearly what I mean by, actions for yourself, which is, I'm going to go back to the same example of fried foods. Okay. When you felt like it was bad for yourself and you decided to change that for better health, that was taking action for yourself. Okay. Now, you learn self control. Okay, the self control part is when you was like, okay, I'm going to eat more vegetables and I'm going to limit the ratio of vegetables to fried foods. I'm going to have more vegetables than fried foods. That was self control. You exhibiting self control over the actions that you have taken. All right. And then I say learning self-control, you set rules based off of that. You set rules for yourself, which was I'm going to eat this many vegetables proportionate to this many fried foods. That's a rule you just set for yourself based off of your previous actions. So you have set a rule or law for yourself to abide by to continue on bettering yourself, right? Okay. These rules are based off what you know about yourself. Okay. So you base your proportion to fried foods to vegetables off of how much fried foods you think you eat and how many vegetables you need or you feel you need to eat to make it better. Now, I'm not saying that, eating vegetables is going to like make it better for eating fried foods. This is just an example. I'm not a doctor. That's just an example that I'm using. Okay. So, let's see. Then I say knowledge of oneself leads to self-reflection. Okay. At the point where you're like, I know that I need to make this many vegetables compared to this many fried foods on my plate, right? At that point, you know that, okay, I need to do this to feel like I'm eating better. You have just reflected on if you do this, then you can change how you have been eating. That's a reflection on yourself, right? So learning about yourself leads to self-reflection. You're going to look back and say, okay, well, I used to eat this and that, and now I eat that. All right, that's a self-reflection. All right. And that reflection is based off of what you have observed in your life and what you know to be true. All right. Now, what I mean when I say that, that's basically like, okay, you have decided to make that change. You've made the change to eat better food. So now you look back and say, damn, man, I remember when I used to eat blah, 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 blah. All right. So that's you reflecting on your past actions to where you're at now. So that's based off of truth about yourself. So let me see. Okay. So that's what I mean when I say the reflection is based off of what one has observed through life and is known to be true to that person. That's what I mean. Then I go on to say imperfections in oneself become clear through doing this. Okay. And what I mean when I say imperfections become clear to yourself by doing that, when I say, okay, man, I remember when I used to eat blah, 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 and now I do this, I began to see how what I was doing was bothering me. So my imperfections become clear. Now, those imperfections can go from the past to the present, and you'll be able to see that. But that's what I mean by when you reflect upon past things you have done, your imperfections come to light. All right. As long as what you are looking back on is based off the truth of yourself, that you know that's the truth, then those imperfections will begin to show. All right. And I'm going to add on a part here. It says, this self full of imperfections is yourself that is reflected by your wisdom. All right. And that is to say that once you are able to see how many imperfections you have in the past and how many that you still have, that comes from your collective knowledge of yourself. That's your wisdom. Okay. Now, to combine all this together so you can get the point of what I mean. All right. What I mean is by deciding to change or do something in your life and then taking the proper actions to do that and making, steps towards a specific goal to do that, you have to set certain things to abide by. You know what I'm saying? Certain rules or laws that you're going to follow yourself to help you on that, right? And by setting those rules and laws about yourself, it causes you to be able to see what you have done. You see what I'm saying? Being able to see what you have done in the past allows you to compare that to your present. So that will give you a more accurate reading of yourself and where you're at. You need to know that, because if you don't know where you're at in your life or what you have done with it so far, then you probably aren't feeling too good about yourself. All right. So now let's see. Okay. Also, the point of that was to clear out that imperfections that you see in yourself is not necessarily a bad thing, but you need to know where those imperfections came from so that you can continue to work to fix that. So let me see. Okay. Also, that those imperfections show your wisdom on how much you have learned and how you apply that knowledge. That's your wisdom. Applied knowledge is wisdom. So that's where you get all of that from.